So we're now going to have a look at something called the IFS function. It's actually IFS. And we've already seen part of these when we looked at the sum if S. And we know that the S is to do with series. And this is a really useful one. I've got a grade system down here, and I've then got a series of grades here. And I could have very easily turned these into tables. We'll have a look at the impact of that later on. But when we've got this, we've got a grade system. So all I'm going to do is select that, and I'm just going to call that grades. So that's nice and easy. I can refer to it really easy. Now, we know that we can utilize this potentially to look up the grades here. My problem is that the answers are round the wrong way for the VLOOKUP. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo that naming there, and I'm just going to ship these to here. And then all I'm going to do is do the same thing. Let's go to there, call it grades. And then what I've got to do is do the equals VLOOKUP, open brackets. Where am I looking it up? So the value is going to be there. What table am I looking up? Well, grades. The column index is in the second column, and I need it to be, I don't want it to be an exact match, so I want an approximate, so I'm going to put 1 for approximate, close the brackets and press enter. I get an NA. Oh, of course, yes. I've got to remember that these need to be in inverse order. Then I get the result. Because I've got the grade there, I can now pull that down, and now it works, and that's lovely and everything else. But that's awkward, and it requires me remembering that. So one of the other ways of doing it with a grade system is to use the if statement. If open brackets, this cell here is greater than, now look at the grade, I need 40. If it's greater than 40, then put E. Otherwise, if open brackets, this cell is greater than 50, then put D. Otherwise, if open brackets, this cell is greater than, sorry, lost my count there. This is how much fun it is. 60, then put C. And if otherwise, if this cell here is greater than 70. Now, already I know this is not going to work, and that's because of the logic. But we'll keep going, and then we'll have to reverse the logic and all that lot. But hopefully you're getting the idea. If that's greater than 70, I'll explain the logic and the flaw with that in a moment. So in speech marks B, then if the system, so if this cell is greater than the next one, which is 80, then put A. Otherwise, if and open brackets, this cell is greater than 90, then put A star. Otherwise, put U. And I've done the otherwise for all the others except for the last one. So I've got to now go through and put all the brackets in. I'm on that one there. Otherwise, put U. And it doesn't like it. I've got too many arguments, too much is going on, too many brackets, and the logic is wrong because everything, most of these grades are greater than 40, so it should come out with E, and it's a mess. And nested ifs give you this kind of problem. You get there, you type them, and I have seen time and time again, and you can see it here, where the whole thing becomes just simply too much. So I'm going to come out of there, press escape, let's get rid of that thing. So I could do it with nested ifs, equals if open brackets, this cell is less than 40, then put U, that's the first part. Otherwise, if open brackets, this cell is less than 50, then put E. Otherwise, and I'm just going to put hello there because I don't want to do anymore. Please don't make me do it. Anyway, there you go. So if I now end that and I pull that one down, that should give us a result. We've got an E there, a U there, and a couple of hellos. And you can already see, and I say you would continue it in there. Just give one more just to prove the nested if concept. If this cell here is less than 60, then what we want to do is put D. Otherwise, and let's put the hello. Let's say hi this time, just to make sure it's clear, and do the brackets. and press the enter, and then all I've got to do is pull that up and pull that down, and I get a couple of highs, a D, an E, and a U. So yeah, nested ifs, but they are horrendous. So what I can do instead is I can quite happily now use the IFS equals IFS. So if, now still the logic is important. So if this cell is less than 40, then put U. But I don't need another if. All I've got to do is say this cell less than 50. E. This cell less than 60. D. This cell less than 70. I think I missed a comma off there, haven't I? I have. So I'll go back and just sort that one out. So there's a comma missing there. So I'll put that comma in. And as I'm going through, value if true. So that's this one over here, number 4. And you can see it just goes on. So I can do this to my heart's content. Keep adding new items in there. I'm now doing logical test 5. So if that is less than 80, then put B. This one is less than 90. Then put A. And then all I've got to do is finish that off simply by just doing the catch-all for it. So all I should have to do here is simply put in the A star, and it should hopefully pick that up. It might not like that because it's not a test, and it doesn't too few arguments, but that's all right because I can put the test in. I can then put into here less than 100, less than or equal to 100. And now when I pull that down, and that's easier to read, that's nicer to read. So that's not too bad at all. Now, this catch-all at the end, I can change, by the way. I can always use the word true to signify the same thing. So if I use true, it comes up with the same argument. So I should end up with the A star there because the true captures it. So I don't have to worry about that at all. Does the 1 work? Well, let's find out. So let's put 1 in there. And when we press that, yes, it still works. So we can still use 1 for true, and the system still understands that. So we can use that. We have now 3 options. We could use the VLOOKUP. We've got some complexities around that, but it works. We've got here the ability to use the formula here to make a real horrible nested if and run out of space, as we saw, or I can use the new if series, and then that allows me just to keep going. I said let's see what happens with the table. So if I take that insert and convert that to a table, yes, then I've got there, and obviously the system is staying there because I haven't altered the grades. And that's the nice thing with tables, it doesn't mess anything up. Everything just works very, very happily. Everything I've still got there. If I start to make changes, then it will start to use new addressing. So if I go there and I tell that to be there, that should update itself. It's not going to because I'm not changing the formula. We had enough fun making that formula. But we can turn these into tables, and that allows us to analyze the data whilst this is still able to do all our calculations. So that's the IFS function. Hopefully that's been useful. See you in the next video.